So Rockefeller said this, which is a friendship founded on business is better than a business founded on friendship. So the big thing here is I used to hear people say, I only can do business with people via handshake. And people that I just met when I was really young were like, oh, if we have to draw a contract, I don't want to do a deal. And I was pressured into doing handshake deals when I was younger with people that were, quote, more experienced because I didn't want to seem, disintegrous or unintegrous, right? A dishonest person. Oh, I need a contract. And then I just realized they were complete scoundrels and full of shit. And so then I went the other extreme, which was like everything has to be in contracts, which I think by and large would serve you really well for anybody who's starting out your first 10 years in business. If you do 10 years of business with someone, you will be able to get to the point where you can have handshake agreements. But you do not extend trust to someone who has not earned it. And I think that there's different levels of this. If an employee comes to the business, of course, like you have to extend trust, right? But if we're talking a business partnership, well then we should have a track record here. We should have a large data set of behavior that I can look at in different circumstances where I know that you will behave in this way. And so for me, trust is believing that the person will act in ways that are similar to the way they have continued to act in the past, right? They're consistent. And I want to be real with you for a second. So I said this year was a tough year. I had 8 lawsuits this year, right? And most of them were at the very beginning of the year, and I dealt with almost all of them now. And here's the part that people won't tell you. All my lawsuits have been with people who were friends of mine or friendly. And if you're like, well, I can't believe that he would get in arguments over his friend. What do you think divorces are, right? Like, we humans think that we're somehow immune of no, I'm really cool with this guy. We're best friends. I don't think we're ever going to get into an argument. Okay, well, consider this. People who sleep with each other for extended periods of time, make life commitments to each other, half the time, end it. So if you think the most important relationship in your life, where you're sharing everything with this person, you're committing to forever, half the time it ends, maybe, just maybe, write down a fucking contract. And the reason that I honestly had a lot of these lawsuits is because, and the thing is it takes years for these things to come due, right? Like you have a business thing that was 6 years ago, and then the thing finally really starts to make money, and then you have a conflict, right? And so you have to deal with all the uncomfortable stuff up front. And I just so strongly encourage you to, those contracts, I avoided hard conversations and was like, we'll figure it out when it gets to that. And we both didn't want to talk about those things. We didn't want to mess up the friendship. It's like, bro, if you think you can't have a hard conversation when there's no money on the line, just assume that you will be in a lawsuit for many years. Just assume it. And if you're not willing to have that hard conversation up front, and you willingly will go into having multiple years of lawsuits on the back end, then you deserve it. Right? And it's so avoidable, and it's likely that it's not going to work out because one or both of you can't have hard conversations, which is required for success. And so I unfortunately have the scars for this one. The contracts that I've done in the last couple of years are significantly better than the ones that I did 6-7 years ago, but those are the ones that are coming due now. And so the time that you should have great agreements was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So just start with the frame of hey, I want everything in writing just so we have no misunderstandings, so there's no unspoken expectations. Because the last thing in the world that I would want is that I would disappoint you because you expect me to do something that I was unwilling to do or that I didn't know you wanted me to do. And so you can approach it from that perspective, and then you just have to say, hey, what happens if you don't want to be a partner with me anymore? What happens if I don't want to be a partner with you anymore? What happens if you die? What happens if I die? Right? What happens if we disagree on where we're going to put the money? Right? What happens if we disagree if we're going to sell? These are all things that you have to talk about. And so you either do it now when there's low stakes, or you do it at the end when you both have high stakes. And I can promise you it's much better when there's low stakes. So it's a really cool concept. I think Sharon said this, and I really like it. He said you can see what level of friend you have by the things that you talk about with them. So he had 5 levels of friends, and I really love this. And I would use this as a litmus test for thinking through the quality of the friendships that you have in your life. The lowest level of friend is someone that you can only talk about the past with. Oh, the good times we used to have. Oh, remember high school, past, right? The next level friend is somebody you just talk about other people with. Oh, how's so-and-so doing? Let's talk about that person. Let's talk about that person. AKA kind of gossiping, but that's what it is. Level 2. Level 3 friend is someone that you can talk about ideas with. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if, oh, isn't it amazing? You can dream, right? Ideas, concepts. The 4th level of friend is somebody you can do stuff with. You can talk those ideas and actually execute. You can take action, you can do things together, etc. 4th. And then 5th is friends that you can make, lose, and spend money with. And I believe that because for whatever reason, money is just one of those subjects that I think it just shows it shows how someone behaves around a reinforcer and what someone values. It just kind of cuts through the crap of everything. And so like Sharon, for example, is our president. Sharon and I have done deals together for like 5+ years. And we really started almost as, to use the Rockefeller quote, like, we are a friendship founded on business. And it has worked out great compared to most of the businesses I founded on friendship. And so we've just done lots and lots of deals together. We've had ups, we've had downs, we've made big calls. And I just have seen him in all the ups and downs of those years. And he's seen me, and we've been like, let's do more stuff together because it's so rare. And so at this point, could I have a handshake agreement with Sharon? Yes, totally. And we do have them on lots of different deals. On the really big stuff, we still write it out. Why? Just so we're on this literally the same page. And so I was just reminded of that this year. I'd be remiss to not say what I learned from the 8 lawsuits that I got in this year. Those are my big takeaways, is that know what level of friend you're with, make sure that you put everything in writing, and you want to front load the discomfort. Number 7, do more than what is required. So I said this was a legal year. And so part of this was looking into compliance and other things that are kind of risks for any business as you get over a certain size. Because the bigger you are, the bigger the target that's on your back. And so if you wish for success, you also wish for the pains that come with success. And as much as many people want to say like, champagne problems or rich people problems, they are problems nonetheless. And I promise you, they are still painful. And so I would say you want to go above and beyond. So what's interesting is you also want to become educated, right? Ignorance is not defense. Real. If you don't know a law exists, it does not exclude you from the consequences of it. And so in realizing that, you have to be proactive in learning the laws of everything that applies to you, which is, there are a lot of them. And now with AI, they can summarize some of these things, but like I got like a law degree this year on public, private. I just had a lot of law that I had to go through. And what I will say is that as much as people might, poo-poo it, I think by and large, most laws are written with 1, good intent, and 2, when you really follow the letter of the law, it kind of makes sense. And so I want to crush everyone and play by the rules. And so once you know the rules, then you can almost play with more freedom because you just know where to avoid, right? Or basically you have to know what the rules are. I don't want to say so you can bend them or break them because obviously we're talking about law, so just leave it there. But you got to know the rules of the game that you're playing. And the law, as far as we're talking about business, those are the rules of the game. And so how can we get into the game and try and win? We don't even know the rules we're playing by. And so that to me, it was like a big thing that happened this year that I would encourage you to just look at the laws that apply to your specific business or industry or partnerships and be very well acquainted with them. To the same degree, also rereading the contracts that you have in like your employment agreements, your partnership agreements. It's just good to know like what tools do I have at my disposal right now? And what expectations do other people have of me that I'm unaware of? And that was hugely enlightening, and also that has just allowed me to sleep so much better. And knowing these things has allowed me to take what would otherwise be very stressful. I mean, imagine 8 lawsuits, a lot of lawsuits, right? Something that would have otherwise been very stressful and say, okay, I understand the variables. We will take these actions. I don't need to have any more cycles on this. Next thing. Because that's where the lawyer stuff will eat up your bandwidth. It eats up your shower time. It eats up your dinner time. It eats up when you're staring out the window, when you're driving in the car. That's the cost of being in legal battles. But if you can minimize the cost of that by saying, I understand where the conflict is and I know what steps I'm going to take, and I have documentation to provide these things, you can actually circumvent the vast majority of the pain and suffering that goes along with it, which gives you a significant strategic advantage when you're in extended conflicts. All right, so next one. This one is probably a little bit more around my current state.